Hello, and welcome to our chat with Rival Games, which roots itself in delivering unique, interactive platforms for loyal fan engagement. And joining me today is CEO Matt Virtue of Rival. Hi, Matt. Can you tell me more about about Rival, what you do, and also just for fun, your earliest memory of gaming?
Hey, Jeremy, thanks for having me. Yeah, here at Rival, we're a best-in-class white label gaming platform whose core purpose is building competitive tournaments, leagues, 1v1 matchups that are ownable for our stakeholders and clients to create the best gaming experience possible with derivative means of creating loyalty built around digital tokenization within the platform. And I can expand on that certainly, but that's kind of our core product today. And my first gaming experience goes back about 20 some odd years now when we purchased N64, and Mario Kart was the first, I think, my first foray into, I guess, what we look at as gaming, although not in the modern age anymore.
Yeah, I also spent hours on Mario Kart, I have to say.
Yeah, I had multiple brothers, so that was a competitive game for us.
Yeah, and competitiveness, loyalty, social interactions. This is all a theme about fan engagement. And we can see in recent years, especially the last 2 years, that this is currently in a state of rapid transformation. So, when we're looking at interactive communities and fan engagement, how do you see this evolving?
Yep. So I think you can see by the list of our core clients today, about 70% of our clients are sports franchises, and there's some strategy there. But I think what you've seen is the modern fan has gravitated from a one-to-one experience that was built across linear broadcast or radio, and now the consumption of content has moved more into interactive mobile experiences. And for us, we feel like the social media channels have created incredible means for these teams and organizations to speak to their fans daily. And we feel like the largely untapped last audience here, last bastion of audience, is gamers who are spending upwards of 10 hours a week across game titles that are of meaningful value to them. So our strategy here is, can we build an experience that allows for us, or in this case, the stakeholder, these teams, to go meet their fans where they are? And that's where Rival wants to be, is sort of the connective tissue that connects these groups and allows for them to build a reward structure where their participation within these communities creates an experience that otherwise doesn't exist in isolation today.
Let's make this more tangible with some of the brands that you're working with. So, when we're looking into the sports industry, this can be very much known as an experience business. So how is it that fan expectations are changing, and what is it that needs to be brought to market by some of these companies that are powered by Rival?
I think that fans like to be a part of the conversation. They feel like they themselves are, in some ways, equity partners or shareholders in the experience overall. And what our platform is designed to do is to create an experience where, in lieu of the time, in exchange of your participation, you actually accrue things of value, something we call a RIBUC, which is our digital token that's native to the platform. That RIBUC can then be used in a myriad number of ways. Largely, it's built on the idea that you can actually earn and accrue things and be a participant within this broader community where you can transact and have real say in this experience. And I think that's something that doesn't quite exist elsewhere today. I think that you find there's a lot of great interactive experiences where people can view and consume the content. But again, it's a bit more one-dimensional and it's a bit one-sided in that you are consuming something that's shown to you. This allows for, I think, a bit more interactivity where there's a shared experience here that builds a deeper sense of connection with these teams. And we've got a number of great clients who do a great job of kind of bringing these gamers in, providing value to them in an experience that they already care about.
Right. And before we actually dive down deeper, let's talk a little bit more about actual gamers. This is a natural audience for digital commerce, and it's starting to blend more into sports industry itself. But specifically for these gamers, how do you engage with this group? And is this any different than what you're offering to a regular sports marketplace?
I think this is where Cardano sort of enters the fold in a unique way for us, in that if you can imagine that myself as GamerX, I'm a participant in a said tournament. Let's use, for example, Aston Villa runs a FIFA tournament. I accrue and I earn the reward structures as part of my participation. I am then shown this unique Aston Villa marketplace that contains items that are seemingly of value to me. It can be merchandise, tickets to games, access to the athletes, kind of these money can't buy experiences. What Cardano and blockchain technology kind of brings to the fold here is a new elevated experience where I can actually participate in things and own things authentically that seemingly can appreciate in value. And that's not something that the teams can offer in isolation today. We've already seen some meaningful adoption in doing that disparately elsewhere, but this is kind of a highly concentrated way of kind of bringing a streamlined commerce component to all of this. That is, again, derivative of the gaming experience themselves, which is something that we are competent in and can power on behalf of these organizations that have unique IP that their consumers will find of value.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. That we are at the point now with using blockchain that we're not just talking about digital commerce, but it's more about social commerce, where you earn real assets. And this all sounds really about developing products that the fans would want to use ourselves to enrich engagement and kind of build instead of just being a fan interactions, it's more about a fan community and creating marketplaces around the brands that they care about. So how does Rival value communities for these different sports leagues?
So the way we look at it is if gamers are going to spend dozens of hours a week participating in isolation within these game titles, is there a way that we can bring the experience back home? I think at the end of the day, the challenge for sports organizations is, how do I meet my next gen of fans? And right now, the consumption has moved, sort of with each different generation. It was linear broadcast has now moved to OTT platforms. OTT platforms now still service a broad group. The subscription model does sort of become cost prohibitive to some people, and some people have become less prone to actually tuning into these live broadcasts. So for us, gaming, again, is this next bastion where you can create some avidity around their participation. And so for us, the scale of this is infinite. The idea for Aston Villa and others who command fans around the globe is use gaming as that entry point. We are agnostic to the publishers and the titles that we use in addition to the hardware. So in America, you'll largely see consumption of console-based gaming. In the Far East, it's far more mobile focused. So the idea is, if I have fans that are disparately set across the globe, how can I create a strategy and use gaming, specifically segmenting the publishing and hardware entry points, as a way to target those consumers and build them back into the experience that overall I want to provide for them. And in this case, I think the marketplace is unique in that people can accrue and earn things. They can be identified within their own communities, and then they can transact. And I think that barter exchange is of value here. I think that's where you start to realize that the data that's being collected and consumed by these community stakeholders, these teams, is of value, but it's more transparent to the user, that you are understanding that you're part of something, you're opting into something. In return, you're allowed to kind of build a deeper connection with that experience. And I think that's sort of what differentiates us from maybe social media platforms today.
Right. And I'd actually would take that one step further, that when you have the ability for every single brand to have its own marketplace, it is also it's very much driven by those social interactions,
right?
Which creates a lot of power, because the fans want to not only participate with the assets, but also each other.
That's right. And it's a good point. And maybe that's a clear distinction that I should make, is that, when you hear the term gaming or esports, in a lot of ways, the way I at least look at it is that it's franchise models based that are similarly kind of mirroring that of the sports franchises of today. There are a set number of franchises built across the publishing title. Those organizations largely build their business based on viewership and eyeballs of the live events of their athletes. There's obviously offshoots of that, but that's largely a business model that is easily kind of replicated in sports today. What we've built, I think, is a more participatory means of drawing in the consumer, meaning if we feel like there's value to be had here, it's the ability to be a participant within this social experience. So I may not win the tournaments that I'm participating in, but it's fun to be a part of it. And as a byproduct of that, I'm likely to tune in and also watch those same gaming experiences as they continue to evolve within these communities, because there's a deeper sense of connection there in something that I'm actually actively participating in versus a more passive lean back viewership experience. And that's what we're trying to separate ourselves from the pack with is the idea of bolting on viewership in live streaming content is important. And the brand partners who are associated with these sports franchises will like to be central in that piece of content. But I think at the end of the day, it's about creating the most immersive, interactive experience for the gamers, who want to play the games that are of meaningful value to them.
And this is what is to me one of the most exciting elements that Cardano has to offer for rival games. And one of the elements we haven't really delved to in very deeply is NFTs and NFT based digital assets. Visa named NFTs in August of this year the fan engagement tool. And if we're talking about the development and the evolution of fan engagement models, this is the pinnacle and the most innovative stage for complete fan engagement. So we're talking about NFTs. What are the actual solutions that Rival Games is going to be delivering for all of these brands?
So I think, to me, NFTs are really interesting in a number of ways. Firstly, it's proof of your fanship, right? Ownership of NFT, ownership of merchandise, these things in physical goods today is proof that you are a fan, that you're part of the tribe, you're part of the community. I think what NFT and blockchain technology brings to the fold is unique in a number of ways. First, it authenticates the ownership of that. So within Rival's ecosystem is going to be what we have digital wallets and this digital inventory within each user profile. Some will be visible to the public and some will not. But the aspects of it that are unique in that those gamers who have participated and actively purchased things, let's say from the Detroit Pistons, who have minted NFT items based around the banners of their World Championship seasons, the 2004 season, for example. The fact that I can own a select number of those items and use that as part of my fan experience to, firstly, I think, to give off the appearance of my devoted fanship. And secondly, the fact that that asset can appreciate is really unique. I think that the way I see it, gamers are quite tech savvy. NFT blockchain adoption is largely going to be something that is easily sort of passed through in this experience, because I think that it's an adoption piece that they are, it's endemic to their space and something that they're aware of. What it allows for our partners is to actually create new identified experiences and transactional opportunities for the gamers that don't quite exist today in the physical world. Meaning, it's great that we have the ability to populate it with tickets and merchandise and things of that nature. But the idea that you can take the IP that they've spent millions and millions of dollars in building and take that same IP and create new opportunities that are NFT blockchain based is great, because I think the appreciation in those values is unique. They can be used within different experiences within the Rival ecosystem. We've talked largely today about what we do for our community partners. We also have something called the Coliseum, which is more of a gamer-centric kind of direct-to-consumer isolated kind of module within our platform that allows for the gamers to spin up their own leagues, their own 1v1 matchups, things of that nature. And they'll have the ability to use those same items that they've accrued elsewhere as part of this barter exchange. To be able to participate and build their own reward structures in things that sit outside of isolated communities that are endemic to these community partners. So I know that's a lot, but I think in short, we feel like the NFT enablement does provide us with a unique access point to mint things on behalf of the clients, a technology that Cardano brings that we don't have today, and creates a better experience for redemption of the model that we have in place, which is for the time allotted from these gamers, they want to be able to accrue a certain amount of Rybucks in inventory to be able to transact. And I think that we've now enabled for, I think, a wide array of items to be populated within these marketplaces. And again, it's nice that it's highly concentrated somewhere. And Jeremy, I don't want to speak for Cardano, but right now it feels disparate in your experience trying to buy NFT items today. It's a bit more difficult to kind of like hone in and find where exactly these items are. This is a nice place where the streamline is quite efficient in that it's really easy to understand exactly where the end of that carrot on that stick is through your participation. So that's the way at least we look at it today.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great example, I think, when you talk about IP for maximizing the benefits of having IP, because one of the greatest benefits of NFTs is making the intangible tangible, right? The goodwill that's attached to brands and the value that assets have that's connected to that brand, whether it be created by the brand itself or created by its community. And the fact that you have your fans who can own these items, trade these items, they can sell these items or keep these items as bragging rights. We see this all the time within the Cardano community, which is quite well known for NFTs. about 40% of all activity on Cardano is related to digital assets. And we have over 300 projects that are all connected to the core loyalty of the Cardano community. And that will just overflow to all brands in the world. It seems like it makes perfect sense that every brand will have its own marketplace and that Rival will be able to be powering that.
I think it's an inevitability, to your point. I think that right now you're seeing early movers and adopters of NFT technology, what it means for their brand, how do they create something that's unique for their fans to own. And that's really what this is owning shared experiences, which is what an NFT item is. So I feel like if for us, we believe that at the moment, the low-hanging fruit for us in organizations that are tailored around the sports industry, seemingly that intersection is a perfect bolt-on strategy for us here at Rival, which is to enable these partners who may not have blockchain partners today to use Rival as that effective early entry point to test those waters before maybe building a stronger strategy that exists beyond the Rival platform itself.
Right. And so while we're kind of, wrapping up a little bit, let's talk about testing the waters and what Detroit Pistons have done with digital assets.
Yeah, over the last 6 to 8 weeks, they have been quite active in minting items that they feel are of meaningful value to the users. So it's digital World Championship rings, banners, etc. What we feel like is really unique is that they've gamified the experience, and that's something that we want to do ourselves, which is you can own certain items, and then based on your actions, new items can be earned. Kind of the way that the egg works in certain game titles themselves. So like for us, the idea ultimately is that a lot of organizations want to figure out new strategies to bring new fans back into their buildings for the viewership of the on-field or on-court player. And I think what's nice with unique NFT technology is you can enable the gamers within Rival's ecosystem, for example, to earn and accrue things, to purchase and own these NFTs. And if they can show provability within venues, potentially earn new items, whether it's physical or digital, that kind of create this, circular ecosystem where you are fulfilling the obligation of fanship and that kind of courtship between the team and the fan, which is, look, at the end of the day, as much as I enjoy you viewing my content, I would like you to come to the ballpark or to come to the arenas. And I think NFT enables you to kind of proof of authentication to do certain things that kind of streamline that process and make it a bit more of a gamified experience, which I think is what Gen Z and the next generations behind them will like, is that shared experience. In addition to that, we've talked about this endlessly, is that there should be a shared common good here. And that if we are going to be creating transactional opportunities within the platform, and a lot of Cardano's mission seems to be focused on this as well, is where can the corporate good also play a role in this? Our teams have corporate partners that obviously pay for the access to these fans to have that conversation. Why not take the experience a step further where within these transactions, those same corporate partners can match like for like with donations to certain charitable organizations that are shared between the teams and these corporate partners. And I think that's going to be part of our mission as well, which is as much as we want to see active transactions within the platform, there should be a greater common good here that I think us and Cardano kind of share in. And I don't want to speak for you guys, but it's certainly part of the Rival mission.
Well, I'm happy that you speak for us because now you're part of the Cardano community. So welcome.
Thank you.
And yeah, more on to that point, the ability to bring digital assets back into the physical world through this redemption process is, I think, critical for that. Where you can, because you're engaging 24/7 with blockchain based ecosystems, and the ability to say you can win a jersey in a game and redeem the actual jersey back in the stadium, or you can get a front row seat, or you can get tickets to a game. NFT assets goes far beyond just the idea of a digital collectible.
Sure. And I think what it also does, which is also core to the principles that we're trying to build here, is look, there is an existence of the 1% of professional gamers that exists, and that model is largely based on viewership. But our product at the end of the day is built on the everyday competitive casual gamer. And I think by creating asset classes of things that can be earned that are specific to certain communities, I think that gives most people the opportunity to be participatory in that exchange versus what you see today in the marketplace and some of these retail products is monetary pricing, some of which can be substantial. And when you do that, what you invite is the best in class gamers to enter into the fold for the monetary reward. And we don't want that to be the experience, right? We want, similar to what NFT, I feel like NFT technology is largely misunderstood today in that they believe the items are only these items that are going for millions and millions of dollars in value. The truth is, there are millions of transactions that can be done at a smaller value. And I think that's what sort of our technology coupled with Cardano can do here is to start to mint items that perhaps wouldn't move the needle for the massive gamers, just either because they're not an affiliate or fan of these organizations, or it's just not all that big of a monetary reward. But if you're doing these things daily, that's a great exchange for the gamers, to be participants. And that's the consumer shift we're trying to work on, which is, if I'm a gamer and I can go online and game across the ubiquitous opportunities that exist, why would I feel inclined to go to within these rival controlled communities? And I think it's quite obvious. It's actually, these are things that are of value to you, and you're part of a bigger story in the community at the same time. So that's the unique challenge that we've set out on. And we've got some incredible partners that we've launched with who have really just started to scratch the surface on the utility of the platform, and where it can go.
That's right. I mean, there are millions and billions of sport fans and millions and billions of gamers. And it's really incredible to be sitting here today, and knowing that the future is here, but it's just not evenly distributed. And so, for your final remarks, what advice would you give to a brand who you're not working with, who may be interested in joining the future?
My advice would be, look, I think there's ample opportunities to communicate with your fans and prospective fans today. I think that gaming is certainly here to stay, and the compounded growth and participation year over year is proof of that. If you don't have a gaming strategy in place today, I think it's wise to start thinking about why you wouldn't want to embark on something that is kind of targeting the next generation of fan, with the greatest lifetime customer value. And I think gaming provides unique opportunities to build deeper and more enriched engagement, in our opinion. And I think our platform does a fantastic job of building a lot of different add-ons that are complementary to the existing business and don't ask for a lot more resources to be devoted. That's what our platform is: very efficient. It's intuitive. It is meant to be as easily and seamlessly managed as possible. And it's easily replicable, given the broad examples that we have across our existing clientele today. And I also want to be clear that while we are certainly focused on the sports industry today and the sports franchises, we also have diversified our offering into brands directly, to influencers, athletes, in addition to a lot of different types of organizations. So the diversity of the product offering is unique, not just to sports franchises, but to all general stakeholders in this broader ecosystem looking to create deeper sense of customer loyalty and transaction value. And, that's what we look to accomplish. And, I think gaming is here to stay, and I think it's going to become that much more of a bigger player in the overall kind of consumer journey here as technology continues to catch up.
That's right. And just like Rival, Cardano is very happy and proud to be powering these level of interactions.
Likewise.
So Matt, it's great to speak with you today, and thank you again for participating in the Cardano 2021 annual summit.
Thanks for having me, Jeremy and team, and looking forward to kicking things off more formally over the next couple of weeks.